Hello. You might remember, a few months ago now, I made a video all about the Hollyland Mars 400S video transmitter receiver. I'll leave a link to it up there. It's no secret, but despite a rather noisy fan, I really liked it. Especially if you just want a cost-effective video link to the director's phone or tablet. The Mars 400S transmitter is now a permanent part of my FX9 rig. Then a couple of weeks ago, Hollyland reached out and asked me if I wanted to test a brand new model they've got coming out. And here it is. The Mars X. At least I think it's X. It could be 10. No, it's definitely X. So full disclosure here, I haven't bought this, but nobody's paying for this video and I'm free to say whatever I think. So here's what I think. Oh, and a good friend of mine recently said that they hate unboxing videos. They just don't get it. So let's get undone.
Ta-da!
Well, the first thing you notice about this is it's tiny, but it's very neat. It feels solid. There's a lot of the design elements about this that remind you about other transmitters in the Hollyland range. It might be the colour or the ridges on the front and the back, but it feels like the same great build quality. I thought it was going to be plastic, but it sounds like the same metal as the 400S. And no need to screw on aerials, they just flip out and make this sort of X shape. I wonder if that's where the name comes from. You also get a nice soft pouch, which I'm liking far more than I should. So what is this? Well, clearly it's at the value end of Hollyland's range of consumer wireless transmitters. And that's all you get, is just the transmitter. There's no receiver, so it's just for sending to a phone or a tablet to use as a monitor. But if I'm honest, that's how I use the 400S. For 95% of the time, I'm just sending it to my iPad or my phone. It's HDMI only. You can power it off USB, but it also has its own inbuilt battery. This looks like the ideal sort of thing to give a small DSLR or your mirrorless B camera its own monitor. And I just happen to have a new mirrorless B camera that needs just that. So let's test it out. You get a useful cold shoe mount, and there's a thread in the bottom and the back of the Mars X, so you can mount it either way. You get a USB lead for charging and power, but you will have to find your own HDMI lead for your particular camera. This one uses the micro HDMI, which is the devil's work and should be banned. Anyway, if you're running on the internal battery, it's a very neat setup, and you're ready to go in no time. The 400S took less than 30 seconds to boot up and start transmitting, so let's see what the Mars X does. Almost the same, just over 30 seconds. I wonder if the delay or the latency, and this is the important bit, I wonder if that's similar as well. Let's do the same test with some timecode running at 25 frames a second, because I'm still in Europe. That's remarkable. It's almost exactly the same. The Sony camera is losing 3 frames just getting to the rear screen here. I didn't realise they did that. But the Mars X is just losing another 3 frames before it gets to your iPad. And that's really good. Very usable. But what do you miss out on if you go for the cheapest model in Hollyland's range? Well, there's no receiver, so it's just for Wi-Fi streaming to phones or tablets. And it's HDMI only, so no SDI or even a pass-through for feeding to a second monitor. And crucially, it only accepts progressive frames. So nothing interlaced and no PSF, or that progressive segmented frames you often get with some professional cameras. So because I can only get progressive frames out of my FX9 when I shoot 50p, that's the only mode when I can get any pictures from the Mars X if I try it on the FX9. However, for all those restrictions, this does look like a really good match for smaller DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. So how does it perform for range? Because we're on lockdown, I did the usual test down in the 300-foot long underground garage. And just like the Mars 400S, I didn't get any breakup until I was well out of sight, around a corner and behind a lot of steel and concrete. In many ways, the performance of this little unit, when transmitting to my old iPad, is as good and possibly better than the Mars 400S. And I say that because it's using about half the battery power, which is probably why it doesn't need a fan. The Mars X is silent. Happy days. Something I really didn't mention when I first looked at Hollyland transmitters was the software or the app you need to view the pictures. HollyView. And it deserves a mention because the Mars X uses exactly the same app, and that's a good thing. It connects quickly and you've got all the useful monitoring functions right to hand. You've got a waveform monitor, which you can move around the screen. There's a histogram. Again, you can put that any way you want. Very flexible. You've got your focus peaking, zebras. There's various frames you can put on. Magnification, false colour, monocolor, never know why you need that. And best of all, you can load in 3D LUTs, which is especially useful when you've got a £10,000 camera that apparently doesn't have enough processing power to put a 3D LUT on an HD picture. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. But while I was showing you all of that, the pictures were being fed live from a camera pointing out of a window 2 rooms and 60 feet away. Very impressive and not bad for a budget video transmitter. The low latency, inbuilt battery, reliability and all the things that make this so easy to set up probably mean it's a lot more useful than just simply a director's monitor. I mean, what if you need a larger screen when you're working with a gimbal and all the motors get in the way of the camera screen? Or in this world of the new normal, maybe you need to socially distance yourself from contributors or even the director. I've heard that many people with the virus lose their taste and smell. The directors I've been working with, they haven't. So this could be useful. Thanks for watching.